What is up, you guys? It is another episode of the Sci-Fly Zone where the multiverse meets the seventh inning stretch. It's your boys Trent and CJ, and today's destination is the seventh inning stretch part of our intro. We're finally going back to Major League Baseball. It's the off season right now, so there's not really much to talk about, outside of some trades and some signings, but there hasn't been too much really going on in regards to that stuff. So we're going to be doing a slightly different video today. CJ and I are going to be covering some of the most underrated single season performances that we feel nobody is really talking about since the year 2000. So we're going to keep it a little relevant. Happy New Year, by the way. But yeah, we're going to go the past 25 seasons and the most underrated performances that we feel have happened in those. And we're going to be doing two outfielders, two infielders, and one pitcher. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna start us out here, CJ. When I saw this season, I was so surprised. We got 2010 Brett Gardner. In 150 games, he put up 7.4 WAR despite only having 5 home runs and 47 RBIs, which, mind you, is the exact same WAR Cal Raleigh put up this year in 2025. 7.4. And keep in mind, here are some Yankees that have never put up a 7.4 WAR or higher in their entire career. We got Yogi Berra. We got Jorge Posada. We got Jason Giambi, Mark Teixeira, Wade Boggs, Hideki Matsui, Mariano Rivera. I could keep going. But a big portion why he put up such huge WAR number that year was because he put up 3.4 defensive WAR that season. Third best in the league. In left field, he saved 13 runs, which was the second best in MLB, and he stole 47 bags, fifth best at MLB. He was only caught 9 times, and he also worked 79 walks, which was 19th in MLB. I mean, just a really, really interesting season because, when you see guys with really high WAR numbers, they're usually hitting a lot of home runs, hitting a lot of guys in. You never see 5 home runs, 47 RBIs, and 7.4 WAR. Like, that's insane. Like, he somehow put up enough value to match Cal Raleigh's 60 homer season with only 5.
That is pretty wild. That is kind of bizarre. Man, I'm glad you brought up that name because he had a long career, man. He was a Yankee for a long time. And sometimes it's easy to forget how impactful of a player he was for the Yankees because he didn't have really those flashy like contact or power numbers like you mentioned with a stat like WAR. A lot of the times it's guys who are hitting a lot of home runs, hitting a lot of extra base hits, and that was never really Brett Gardner's game. But despite that, he still found a way to make a huge impact for his team and be incredibly valuable just in a different way. And like like some of those guys you mentioned, you listed off some of the best Yankees of all time, and they weren't able to do what Brett Gardner did that year. So yeah, I mean he absolutely deserves his props. Really solid career overall, but that season in particular was just something else.
Yeah, man, just we gotta put some respect on his name. He filled a very key role that the Yankees didn't really have in their lineup because, I mean, like you said, like you could count Yankee sluggers till you're 90. They're always gonna have big, huge slugger guys, but to have someone like that who's very amazing at defense and stealing bags while also still not that bad at offense. I mean, he had above average OPS that year as well at 105, slightly above, granted, but still, like to be able to do that along with being that good of a defender and that good of a base stealer as well, like that's awesome.
Yeah, man, he was a key part of that 2010s Yankees team. I know he was Derek Jeter's teammate for a while, but he really was like a captain for some of those Yankees teams. He was like a great veteran presence and really holding his own, especially in the field.
Yeah, for sure. So, who do you got in the outfield that is underrated?
So I'm going to go with a Yankees rival, the Yankees rival. I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox, who actually would go on to New York later in his career as well. One of those guys who played for both teams. 2011 Jacoby Ellsbury. He had a 552 slugging percentage because he hit 32 homers and 26 doubles while driving in 105 runs while still stealing 39 bases. With some guys, when you have like a breakout offensive season, it's because they're focusing on one aspect of their game and kind of like spending less time on other aspects. So
Mm-hmm.
like maybe they'll be spending more time on working on their power and not as much time on base running. he still nearly stole 40 bases this season while hitting 30 homers and over 40 doubles. It was good for a 146 OPS plus. He was nearly 50% better than the average hitter. His second highest season was 113. Still solid, but nowhere near that 146 level. This season awarded him his only All-Star appearance. He won his only Silver Slugger and won a Gold Glove that year and finished second in MVP voting, only behind the 2011 insane year of Justin Verlander, winning the MVP and Cy Young as a starting pitcher. But that year, he was just something else. And the years following that, he was kind of just an average player. I honestly thought that peak was going to extend a little bit longer. Obviously, he did have some earlier years where he was like leading in stolen bases. He had like a 70 stolen base season, but the offensive numbers just weren't there before or after this season, honestly. Like his second most homers he had in a season was 16, only half of what he did in 2011 when he hit 32. Like he would never have another season with more than 70 RBIs. He had 105 that year. And he also tallied 364 total bases that season, which was the highest in the MLB, and 100 more total bases than what he would do in any other season of his career. I know like some speedsters in the MLB maybe have their careers cut a little bit short because of the extra physical stress that they're putting on their body. And there was definitely a lot of that early in his career. I mean, he had like 120 stolen bases over 2 seasons. And the further his career went on, the more and more it felt like a blip of like just this one time thing, this one outlier of his career. And he was never able to get back to that peak.
Yeah, it's really weird. Although when I think of Jacoby Ellsbury, that's the only year that I think of.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but
He's
it definitely kind of rode into the dust though, and like in terms of everything else that's happened in MLB, like no one really talks about that Jacoby Ellsbury season.
yeah, people don't really talk about Jacoby Ellsbury in general, honestly, even though he was like one of the most impressive like speedsters of those early 2010s.
Yeah. So I actually have another guy who kind of fits a similar archetype to the last couple of guys we've been talking about, and that is 2008 Nick Markakis.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, he led the American League in WAR, which oddly enough was also 7.4, similar to Brett Gardner. And I guess when you get 7.4 WAR, it's impossible to win MVP for some reason. But even though he led the American League in WAR that year, he didn't even receive a single award that season, and he failed to be voted into top 30 in MVP votes. He finished the year being top 10 in batting average, OPS, hits, extra base hits, and top 5 in runs, walks, on base percentage, and doubles, while also leading American League right fielders in games played, putouts, and leading all outfielders in assists. No awards, not even top 30.
That's criminal. That is insane to me, dude.
Yeah, his slash line was he had a 306 average, an 897 OPS, he hit 20 homers, he had 87 RBIs, 182 hits, and he had 23 defensive runs saved.
Oh my gosh.
And he got nothing.
Wow. I feel like that kind of unfortunately sums up Nick Markakis' career in a way. He's just like criminally underrated, never got the flowers that he deserved. There was one point in time when he was with Atlanta still having great seasons where I was thinking like if he gets to like 2,800 career hits, is he going to be like a Hall of Fame candidate? Could he be on the ballot? What if he gets to 3,000 hits? And like the fact that even during his time he wasn't getting the credit that he deserved is just really unfortunate.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys that always played hella games. He was always on the field and he was always just consistent.
Yeah, yeah. And part of that, like part of playing every day is the willingness and the durability and being able to go out there every day. But it's also being productive enough to where your manager wants to put you in the lineup every day and wants you in the outfield and wants you hitting every day. And Nick Markakis was one of those guys.
Yeah, he's the epitome of the discussion we're having about today. Just a super underrated performance.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Man. Yeah, absolutely deserved more credit.
Yeah. So, infielders, who do you got in the field?
So, my first infielder is going to be similar era to Jacoby Ellsbury. We're going to go 1 year after that 2011 season. We're going to go to 2012. We're going to go to the West Coast, and we're going to go with Chase Headley at third base for the San Diego Padres.
I like that.
It's a name that, honestly, before looking into this video, I had not heard in a very long time, unfortunately. And honestly, like in a similar way of Jacoby Ellsbury, people could agree at the time that like Chase Headley was a good player, but he never really like stood out in any particular aspect. He wasn't regarded as like a power hitter. He wasn't a true contact hitter. But the 2012 season, he just put it all together. In 161 games, he had a 286 batting average with a 498 slugging for an 875 OPS. And that is a single season high in all of those stats for his career. That is the best in each of those categories. The second most home runs that he ever hit in a single season was 14. In fact, he had 8 full seasons in his career, give or take. 7 of those 8 seasons, he had less than 15 home runs and less than 65 RBIs. In 2012, he had 31 home runs and 115 RBIs for the most RBIs in the National League.
So he had his Jacoby Ellsbury year.
It was his Jacoby Ellsbury season. Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. Yeah. Didn't necessarily steal 40 bases, but he did steal 17. So I'll give him that. He was running a little bit.
For a third baseman, that's a lot of stolen bags.
Yeah, it's pretty good, especially before the new base running rules. That probably translate to like 20 something nowadays. Almost like a Josh Naylor kind of like prototype, I feel like. But yeah, man, I don't know what got into him this season. I don't know if he was juicing. I don't know if he was corking his bat. There's not really any like.
That was more common back in the day.
It was more common, and it did go under the radar a little bit. But there was never like any controversies. There were never rumors about him, and a lot of the times, guys who do take steroids, you can see that the result of that over several years. It's usually not just like over 1 year. It's usually a couple years where they're doing this. This was really the only year that Chase Headley was doing this. And it wasn't even that he was great over the full season. It was really the last 2 months of the season where he really broke out and just became one of the best hitters. Going into August, so from April through July, he had 12 homers with a 268 batting average and 52 RBI. In August, he hit 306 with 10 home runs and 31 RBI. Only 2 less homers than he had in the entire season.
Dude, 31 RBIs in a month is
in a
incredible.
Month, he had an RBI a day. An RBI a day keeps the doctor away. That's what I always say. Whoa.
Oh, I didn't even know it.
Only 21 less RBIs in August than the previous 3.5 months. And then in September, he hit 330 with 9 homers and 32 RBIs.
Dude, he said, bring on the minor league 40-man roster. Let's do it.
Literally, dude. He's a prospect merchant. He eats prospect pitchers up alive. Man, the first 3.5 months of the season, he had 12 homers. In the last 2 months of the season, he had 19 homers. Like, in 3.5 months, having 12 homers and then ending the season with 31 homers is not something that we see. It's not a stretch that you really see ever, especially like considering, like I said, he was never able to really replicate this again, and he wasn't able to do what he did in those couple months again or before. And this season earned him a Silver Slugger along with a Gold Glove, and he finished 5th place in MVP voting that year. And the reason that he finished 5th is because 4 of the best hitters of the 2010s had some of their best seasons of their careers. Like, honestly, 4 Hall of Fame caliber players. Yadier Molina finished 4th, more widely regarded for his defense and like calling games. He still hit 315 that year with a 501 slugging and 22 homers. Andrew McCutchen finished in 3rd. He led the National League in hits. He had 30 homers and 20 stolen bases. Ryan Braun had 987 OPS. He had 41 homers and 30 stolen bases. And they didn't have to worry about Chase Headley using steroids. They had to worry about Ryan Braun using steroids. That was their attention.
Yeah, and Matt Kemp that year was like money.
Matt, yeah, that was that season. He was just.
It was so fun to watch, dude.
Nearly a 40-40 season in 2011. It was. I think he was robbed of the MVP that year.
It was robbed.
Yeah, and I mean the man who won the MVP in 2012, that Chase Headley year, Buster Posey, one of the best catchers of his generation. He had a 336 batting average with a 957 OPS and a World Series ring. So, kind of hard not to go with the captain of the World Series team, especially when he's having a great season. But right after those 4 guys, it's Chase Headley.
Hi, how are you?
And his prime peak of his career, and it's like not even peak season, the peak 2 months of his career. Those were the best 2 months of his entire baseball career.
Yeah, he had a great summer.
He had a fantastic summer. Yeah, he likes the warm weather.
Yeah. So my infielder, when I was making my list, I low key messed up. I went with another outfielder by accident, but he does have experience at third and first base. And actually, when I was looking up specific numbers for this season that I'm choosing for this guy in particular, even though he is an outfielder, he actually had more defensive runs saved at his part-time infield positioning than he did in the outfield. He had a little over 200 innings at third base, and he had four defensive runs saved. So really interesting, but we're focusing on the offense here because this guy, he's got a great bat, and that is 2011 Jose Bautista.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. I like this.
Yeah, this is a top three career year for Bautista in 2011. Obviously, CJ, like you mentioned, Justin Verlander won MVP that year in 2011. But Bautista was arguably the best hitter in the American League and maybe all of baseball. Let's be honest. He led MLB in home runs, walks, and OPS while batting 302 and putting up an 8.3 war. 1.3 war more than his 54 homer season that took place the year prior. And his OPS plus in 2011 was 182, the highest in the league. So when people talk about great seasons and even Bautista's great seasons, I feel like they talk about his 2011 season with the 54 homers rather than his 2011, even though the 2011 season he was 1.3 war better. You know, he was a better overall average hitter in my opinion. Obviously, he had more bombs and more RBIs, but he himself was like more consistent and productive the year after.
Yeah, yeah, man. You're right. People usually go to that 54 homer season because, I mean, you look at 54 homers, it really jumps off the page. It's hard to avoid that. But that was not his only good season. He was great in 2011, just like you said. He was one of the best, if not the best hitters in baseball that year. And I feel like when people think about Jose Bautista, a lot of the times they think about the moments that he was a part of. They think about the playoff homer and the bat flip and that, but they don't really talk about how he was. Yeah, that as well. Yep. but they don't really talk about how he was like one of the best hitters in at least the American League at the time. Like one of the best power hitters, and like you said, the contact numbers were there too. He was just incredible in his peak. He was almost like the American League Giancarlo Stanton at a period of time. Like there wasn't really
That's a really good
anybody else.
comparison.
Thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. I feel like there wasn't really anyone else like putting up the power numbers and putting them up as consistently as he was during those early 2010s. And yeah, I mean the fact that he was able to be that productive at third base as well. Like sometimes I forget that he played infield because I only think of him as like a corner outfielder because he does have an incredible arm, but that's helpful at third base too. And he was just effective there.
Yeah. So, who's your guy?
My guy is going to be 2008 Ryan Ludwig, the Cardinals legend. Now, Ryan Ludwig, his first full season of his career came 5 years after his MLB debut. He made his MLB debut and wouldn't have his first full season for 5 more years. In fact, the most games he had in a single season before his first full season was 47 games. He was dealing with several injuries early on in his career. And then he got to St. Louis in 2008. He hit 299 with 40 doubles and 37 homers with a 591 slugging percentage and a 966 OPS with 104 runs scored in 152 games.
That's great.
The first season that he played more than like 120 games, he puts up an MVP caliber season. He did this while playing all three outfield positions, by the way,
That's cool.
left, center, and right. And this season earned him his only All Star appearance, his only Silver Slugger, and the only MVP votes that he would ever get in his career. He would have like a couple decent seasons after this. 2012 was a solid year for him, but he did miss 37 games. So we didn't really get to see what he could do over like a full season.
Hmm.
And he technically had a 12-year career, but like I mentioned, those first 5 years, he only played 104 games through his first 5 seasons because a fractured hip. He had two knee injuries. He had a broken forearm. Like he was getting beat up. It was a rough start to his career, and it's likely part of the reason why his career trailed off as quickly as it did, and why he wasn't able to stay at that peak of that 2008 season. But in that 2008 season, he was just able to do everything right. He put everything together. Like I mentioned, nearly 300 batting average. He had 80 extra base hits. Like after really not getting any time at the major league level, first time that he gets a chance, first time that he's put in the lineup every day, he absolutely crushes it. And unfortunately, this is a flash in the pan because he wasn't able to really come close to replicating this again. Like 20% of his career doubles were hitting this season. 24% of his career home runs were hitting this season. And over that 12-year career, that 2008 season was really the highlight for him.
Yeah.
Just like totally out of nowhere. Can't really explain it. Like unless there was like a new hitting coach who he just somehow clicks with for some reason, or he just changes something in his swing. But like he was able to do everything that year, and after that and before that, he really seemed like a different player.
Yeah, it would have been really nice to see him carry that type of production.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like there've been so many guys like that where like you see like a glimpse of what they can do and they're able to do it for like a year or two, but then whether it be injuries or slumps or for one reason or another, it's just like sometimes you think like, wow, I'm kind of surprised at how highly he was rated at one point because like looking at what the production is in recent years, not recent years for Ludwig because he's been retired for a while, but like sometimes those great seasons kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Yeah, but that's why videos like these are important, they
Yeah,
highlight them.
absolutely.
Yeah. So my last and technically only infielder here, I got 2008 Chipper Jones.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm bringing
Like
up 2008 specifically because obviously in 2008, Pujols and Pedroia, they really took the spotlight for winning MVPs that year. And based on WAR in 2008, it was Chipper Jones' second best career year. And he held an MLB leading batting average at 364 and on base percentage at 470. He had an OPS of 1,044, so 1.044. And he had an OPS plus of 176 and 10 defensive runs saved at third that year as well. And here's the crazy thing, he only played 128 games.
whoa.
So if he had played a full length season at that rate, he would have ended with around a 9.2 WAR, which would have been the exact same WAR that Pujols got the year he won MVP in 2008. So, I think people need to kind of look at this season a bit more and really see the greatness that was there. I mean, leading MLB in average and on base percentage, accumulating that much WAR in that little amount of time, and also still having a really good defense at third. Like Chipper Jones really was that guy.
He absolutely was. He was a one of a kind player. How long was this before his retirement? What year did he retire?
His last year was 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, he played more recent than I thought he did.
Yeah, he
But
retired in his age 40 season.
okay, so wow, so he was like 35, 36 when he was putting up these numbers. Like that is impressive. And I mean, yeah, he was a great player over his career, but that season for sure is something that I don't think gets enough attention. And maybe it's because of the missed time and the I don't know. This was a great season. It was like you said, just he was one of the best hitters of his generation, and he was able to do everything right that season. Like you said, leading an average and on base percentage, like
While missing
and
40 games.
yeah, while missing 40 games and still being like incredibly effective at defense as well. Like he was something else. That guy was really really good.
Yeah, he definitely deserves to be a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So, who's going to be your last infielder, bro?
So the last infielder I'm going with is we're going to the mid 2000s. In fact, we'll go to the middle of the 2000s. We'll go to 2005, and that is going to be Chicago Cubs first baseman Derek Lee.
Ooh.
Derek Lee is a guy who had a better and a longer career than some of the other guys that I've listed. He's got over 300 home runs in his career, but this season, out of all the seasons of his career, stands out amongst the rest of them. Like 2005, Derek Lee had the most hits in the National League with 199, and he led all of baseball in doubles, batting average, slugging, and OPS. He had 46 home runs, and he hit 335 with a 1.080 OPS. good for a 7.7 WAR that season and 393 total bases, nearly 400 bases on the season.
Where did he place in MVP voting?
He placed third in MVP voting this year, which is solid placement. You know, this was the era of like prime Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, Andrew Jones, and the start of like Miguel Cabrera's ascent into being one of the best hitters in all of baseball.
Yeah,
And
amongst many others.
yeah, yeah, seriously. And Derek Lee was right in there with all of them, finishing third in MVP. He won a Silver Slugger and a Gold Glove that year. So he wasn't just great offensively, he was good defensively as well. Like he was a great player throughout his career, 331 career homers, but it was more so because of he was like hitting consistent like mid to high 20s, a couple 30 homer seasons, but he wasn't hitting extra base hits like this, like at this rate. He had 199 hits this year. 99 of his hits were extra base hits. Almost exactly half of them were for multiple bases. Like he was absolutely slugging the ball this year. He was crushing everything he was seeing. And obviously, like I mentioned, he wasn't only hitting for power, he led all of baseball in batting average too. So he was getting on
That's
base.
insane. Yeah, I feel like yeah, people need to bring that up more. Like that's an insane season.
It is
He literally did everything
he really, yeah, he did.
besides stealing bases. Like what? Let me guess. He had like what, five?
Yeah, probably around there. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Um, but like, yeah, he was the best hitter in baseball this year among several easy first ballot Hall of Famers, no doubt. Like, and he stood out amongst all of them because like you said, he was just doing everything. He did it with contact, he did it with power, he drove in runs, and he scored runs himself.
Yeah, and played great defense.
Yeah, Gold Glove.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I'm really glad you shouted that out. That's a lot of good fun lore that I wasn't quite aware of, at least not to that degree.
Yeah, it's one of those seasons that like unless you were like watching at that time and like you were seeing what he was doing in the moment, it kind of goes under the radar, and I don't think enough people talk about it.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's kind of why I'm really happy we're making this video, or no, we're bringing some
Yeah,
stuff to light.
yeah, it's great. I love it.
So, we're gonna bring up one pitcher each to finish it off, who we think needs to be highlighted for their season. I'm gonna be going with 2012 Felix Hernandez.
Nice.
You know, he didn't have the best record. He didn't have the best ERA. He didn't even have the best WAR. But what he did do, you'll love. He threw 5 shutouts that year, which hadn't been done in the American League since 1998 by David Wells and hasn't been done in the American League since then. And this included a perfect game, if you remember, versus the Tampa Bay Rays in August. And also during that year, he led MLB in fielding independent pitching at 2.84. And on top of that, he also had the lowest home runs per nine in MLB that year, while still throwing 232 innings and starting 33 games. So just insane work. And like I know I said he didn't have the best ERA, but it was 3.03. Like that's still a great ERA. And on top of that, like the 5 shutouts, the perfect game, best FIP in baseball, lowest home runs per night in baseball. And honestly, I think if he wasn't on the Mariners this year, these numbers could have even been better.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. My God, that's a good year, dude. That is a really good season. Like I know you said he didn't have like the best ERA that year, but he had some of the most dominant starts of that year, including obviously the perfect game, one of the best like pitching performances we've seen in the 2010s and in recent times. Like he was just doing some crazy things back at that time, man. His peak was so good. It was so much fun to watch. Throwing 90-mile-an-hour changeups before guys were really doing that. Like he really was an integral part of like advancing the sport and like being that innings eater too, of like throwing over 200 innings several times, and while still being as consistent as he was, like just a masterclass of pitching. Just so good to watch him, dude.
Yeah, and he's one of the only pitchers with a grand slam to his name as well.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
That is pretty cool.
he hit it against the Mets.
Oh man. Sorry, Mets fans.
But yeah, who is your pitcher?
So my pitcher What if I told you it's been less than 10 years since a Rockies pitcher finished top five in Cy Young? The Rockies are a bad team, and they
Are
have
you
had bad
talking about
pitching.
Ubaldo Jimenez?
I'm not. I'm talking
Oh,
even
okay.
more recent than that. I'm talking the lefty, Kyle Freeland. His 2018 was unlike any other season that he has pitched like in his career. In
Right.
2018, he had a 17 and 7 record with a 2.85 ERA in over 200 innings thrown
In
while pitching
Colorado,
in
that's
Colorado.
that's insane.
It's pretty insane, right? Something else that's even more insane. He did much better in Colorado than he did elsewhere. The Coors did not play into effect for him. He had a 7-5 record on the road with a 3.23 ERA, which is solid, very good, especially for a Rockies pitcher. But at home, he had a 10-2 record with a 2.4 ERA, allowing less than 2.5 runs per game in Colorado. And because of the park factor that they get with Coors Field, he finished the season with a 166 ERA plus. He was 66% better than the average pitcher, like in Coors Field. Just absolutely ridiculous things that he was doing. Like he's never really been like a strikeout guy. His strikeout numbers haven't been super high. He had about 150, 160 strikeouts this year. But that to me is even more impressive because guys were putting the ball in play and they were still not getting a lot of run production off of him. They were still scoring less than 3 runs a game off of him.
Yeah, and clearly he was going deep into games. He went over 200 innings.
Yeah, yeah. The only time in his career that he would go over 200 innings, and like the he was really never the same pitcher after this. Like the immediate season afterwards was the worst season of his career. He had he put up a negative 1.1 WAR and had an ERA over 6 right after finishing fourth in the Cy Young, by the way, in 2018, only behind a 9.7 WAR season from Aaron Nola, a 300 strikeout season from Max Scherzer, and a 1.7 ERA from Jacob DeGrom. Those are the only three guys that beat him out for Cy Young voting.
Hmm.
Besides them, he was up there. It's one of the most shocking and still confusing seasons I think that we've seen like in recent years. And the longer that Kyle Freeland, the longer that his career gets, the more seasons that he pitches, it is becoming more and more baffling at how good
Yeah.
he was in that 2018 season. Because after that, he has not had an ERA under 4.3 in his career in a season. He's had a couple 5 ERA seasons. This was the only season where he had a winning record. Um, and he was just like everything that he could do in his career. It seems like he put it all in one season. He put all of the effort of his career into this one season, and the results are unlike anything else in his career. Like top four Cy Young finish, he doesn't come close to that in any other season. I don't believe he has a single All Star appearance. So, like this season from Kyle Freeland, just completely out of nowhere. Not to mention it was his second full season in the MLB. He was
Hmm.
like 25 years old when he was doing this, and just found a way to deal with the elevation in Colorado and the balls flying. It was not an issue for him.
Yeah, I just don't understand how he wasn't able to replicate it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of been a theme with like 4 out of my 5 guys is like they've had one great season and that just one for one reason or another they just can't put it together again.
Hmm. Yeah, but that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Baseball is a weird, unpredictable sport.
Very weird and unpredictable sport for sure, man. Yeah, that's so weird.
I thought I thought it could have looked pretty good for the Rockies in the future. There was one point in time where I was optimistic for them, but it's uh, it's gone the complete opposite direction, unfortunately.
Yeah, the hype has been deferred somewhere else.
Yes, yep, exactly.
Cha-ching. Yep. Honestly, I'm surprised Kyle Freeland hasn't been a Dodger already and reshaped his career.
Yeah, and he's going to become a Dodger in a couple years and finish like seventh in the Cy Young and
Yeah, he'll have
start
a
the All
Rich
Star
Hill
game.
type of year.
Yeah, yeah, and then I'll have a Yamamoto postseason.
I don't think anyone's gonna have a Yamamoto
No,
type
nobody's
postseason,
going to have a
honestly.
Yamamoto postseason. Never ever.
That yeah, his performance in this World Series and just the whole postseason in general was it couldn't have been better.
It was unbelievable. It was the stuff of legends, literally.
Yes, totally. So yeah, that has been our video today for some guys who need to be given respect on their name because it seems they've fallen into the shadows and we're bringing them back into the light, just like the Riddler wanted us to. For those who saw the Batman, you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you guys want us to do a part two, everyone loves a part two. We'll do an Empire Strikes Back. You know, we'll 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 bring up some more guys who need to be given more respect on their name for their performances. We can change up the topic. Maybe we can just do strictly pitchers. Maybe we can just do guys over their whole career who need to be given some respect. Maybe we could do an overrated,
Ooh,
maybe. There's a lot of options here.
that'll
But
get some
yeah,
clicks.
yeah. So just please drop a like for the video if you enjoyed it. It really helps out the channel and it helps us get the video out to more people who would be interested in seeing it. So we would appreciate all the help. But yeah, this has been the Sci-Fly Zone where the multiverse meets the seventh inning stretch, and we hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.